All right, everybody, it is the 29th of May. This is our next to last session. Can you believe we've gone through all that already? So tonight we are going to talk about systems to keep you organized and on track, and then we'll go into some coaching for new recruits. And then next week we have keeping your momentum going, and we've got little bits and pieces from all the different directors in the group, so that'll be a good week. So. All right, I'm going to share screens here. We are recording, so if you have any background noise, please mute yourself. I'm going to share my screen, and then I'm going to hit my presentation button. We're going to cross our fingers. We have storms on all ends, it sounds like, so hopefully none of us will have any sirens go off, and we have to leave. If my sirens go off, April will just finish the presentation. We'll just go from there. I'll just leave the screen on. Hopefully my computer won't implode and we'll be good. Come on, come on. Everything's it's time thinking about it tonight. All right, there we go. Hold on. Oh, glory. Hang on 2 seconds. I'm trying to get the screen to switch so you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. It's got the.
If you need to do it that way, just do it.
Yeah, well, what's happening is the Zoom thing is over the PowerPoint controls.
You'll be okay with this. This is okay. You can see it pretty good.
All right. Well.
Got the next slide on the next side over there, so it's okay. We'll be all right.
There we go. All right, got it. So keeping us on track. I thought that was cute. I can make you on our track. You like that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so what are we repeatedly doing? That's a question that we need to be asking ourselves. What we are is what we repeatedly do. So we need to find out what we're doing. That will be a very good indicator as to if you have anything on track as far as organizing, if you're way off, if you're confused, if you're frustrated, if you're overwhelmed. It all goes into that. So I'm going to ask a couple of questions and you guys are welcome to respond. How do you keep track of your booking leads? Just kind of think through these things if you want to, not respond just yet. Do you have a method? And this is probably just a yes or no question at this point. Do you have a way to track your booking leads? Pam is shaking her head no. April is shaking her head yes. Everybody else is off camera. So I'm assuming you're all going to shake your heads yes, because we're going to do that by the end of the thing, right? This is just a cute list I found that's got Disney pictures on it. It's not necessarily packing this, although I thought it was fun to put in here because we are going to be packing for Disney next year because we're all going to Disney. So do you know how many recruit leads you have right now? April shaking her head no. Pam is shaking her head no.
I have a list, but I have no idea how many.
Yeah, I have a somewhat of a list, not a super huge list. Hey, Nicole. But yes, we do need to keep track of that as well. I know not everybody's ready and wanting to jump into the recruiting thing, but you need to keep those feelers out there because even if you're not ready, and we've talked about this before, if they are, then you would get the help of your director or your recruiter to help you because you don't want to let anybody get by and or not have the opportunity that you've had, even if you're not there and sure what to do yet. So keep track of those people who talk about it. So there's a couple of different ways that we're going to show you tonight how you can track different things. The first one I wanted to touch base on, this is actually Consultant's Corner. When you get into your contacts, there's this big list down the side. And if you have not been paying much attention to that, it is a really easy way to sort your contacts that you have. And there's an all at the top. So all is in there, but then you also have ones that break down into other categories. I am not real big on using this. It was very cumbersome when it first came out, and I didn't really pick into it, although I have used it for a couple of other things. So I'm just going to show you how you can use it, but it's to each their own as to who wants to use it. When you're in the consultant's the guest's contact information itself, at the very bottom of their contact information is this box down here that you see that has all these little boxes that you can check. And you can create your own. This one that says Christmas in the Village that I'm pointing to is a list that I pulled off of people who lived in a certain area so that I could, I do an event twice a year and we mail out postcard invitations to those people through the event itself, so that all of my contacts will know that other vendors will be there, and all of the other people's contacts will know that I'm going to be there. And it's just part of our fee to do this event. So I created a search for address by zip code and then put it into this list, and I pull that every year and add extras to that. But that's how we do that. So you can do it by zip code, you can do it by project, by event, by guest, by host, by however you want to do these different things. It's also a great idea if you ever want to do an email, customer connection email, if you're doing a specific topic. If it's somebody who's a potential host and has never hosted, and there's an amazing host special you really feel like they need to know about, you could send it to just them, or however you want to do that. So there's just an option with that on there. Now, tickler files.
Wait a second before you go past that. So one of the other things is, you know, at the top of when you create a guest and you click on the little box that says potential host or host, you know, that they're booking a show and all that, those things automatically will dump into and have those checked at the bottom, because I never check anything else once I put people in here, but it automatically has some things checked in here from where I do that, because I do that on every customer. Like when I do them at a show, I'll mark everybody as receiving the newsletter unless they tell me not to. And if somebody contacts me and says, don't ever contact me again, then I mark them down here as a do not, there's a place to mark like don't send them anything at all. And, you know, so there are some things that are good about that automatically do, but it really would be a really good thing if you're wanting to, especially, you know, sending out the recruit specials. Man, I need to be making more advantage out of this. Nicole, do you use the special categories for this and do anything with that? And you're on mute.
I just realized that. I do sometimes. Like, I will tell you this past year, I have been horrible about like setting up different groups and that kind of thing, but I have done it in the past, and I do have different groups set up. But this past year, I really haven't done much with that.
Yeah. Thank you for adding that, April, because yes, especially the newsletter thing, if you do that inside the show at each guest, there's that spot up there where they're potential booking or whatever, and you select that newsletter, that does put them in there automatically, which is nice. So. All right, so now we will go. Next one is the tickler files. Some of you have heard about this. It can be any size, any type box, any way you want to track this. You can do it in a hanging file with 8.5 by 11 paper. I mean, it is totally up to you. There's a lot of different ways. I showed a couple of different styles, but I'm going to actually let April talk about this.
Okay, and I think mine are on the next, my notes are on the next side, right there. Okay, so I don't currently do this. I have in the past. One of our field managers, so that's not how you say it.
Field development
manager. There you go, FDM. Julie Aldridge does a training that's on this that she did for us when we went through LEAD. And so what she does is she uses the 4x6 index cards, and then she uses two different sets of tabs. One set of tab that's by the month, so it's January, February, March, and so forth, and one that's 1 through 31. And so that, let's say that you want to keep up with your door prize slips in there. It's a great place to do that in addition to the index cards. So somebody says on here, I want to do a show in the fall, then you would put them behind either September, or if you want to contact them in August, which is what I would do, is put them in August. And that way you can know which people, when you're starting to book a certain month, you can go in there and start looking and putting them in there and make little notes on them. And I always make notes on them, especially door prize slips that I've used at a vendor booth or something like that, because, you know, you want to remember, you know, redheaded lady with 5 children, possibly interested in being a consultant when she has time, you know, like 18 years from now or whatever. And so you can be able to go ahead and put those kinds of things in there. But you can also have tabbed cards that you have made up that you're going to keep using all the time. Like, you know, what day of the month do you want to have your host packets made? And you put that in there. And host coaching calls, let's say you do those every week or whatever. If you do virtual party template that you're needing to do, or if you're wanting to start a virtual party on a certain day. So every day you get up and you look at what you're supposed to be doing, and actually optimally you want to look at it the day before so that you know what's coming up, so that you're kind of prepared for that, and then you are ready to do those things. The problem is that this is not necessarily sustainable if you don't do the thing you're supposed to do, and then it all winds up being behind one thing, and then you give up. That's what I did. And so I just tell you, you know, don't get behind where you do that. And if you do, then you do exactly the same thing you do at the beginning. You're not going to put everything behind the first day in there. Julie recommends that you randomly put them through there, that you just say, okay, I'm going to put this here, put this here, put this here, and go through and stick them in random places in there. And it will allow you to be able to, have things that are spread throughout the month to be able to do. And let's say you do customer care calls every Saturday or every Sunday night or every Wednesday or whatever, you're going to put those in there. So it's being able to keep up with things and also put in there your dentist appointments and your doctor appointments and, whatever, else things you have, your kids' dance class or whatever, you put those things in there as well. And then you put the things for the future months in there, check it all the time, make sure that you're prepared. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. Anybody else want to add? Because Nicole, you've been through this training and so have you, Kara. So
too bad. I think I showed y'all that. I don't know. It's packed up now. My office is naked. Ain't got nothing but a chair, y'all.
I think you're getting close to moving, though. Yay!
I still don't have a date, but I'm ready to go. But I have used that and did work good. But just like April said, I kind of got behind it. I got to get back on it. But I literally did just pack that and kind of went through there and pulled out all my old stuff. But I do have it all ready to go again.
Well, I'm going to start doing mine again. When we started talking about this, I thought, I was so productive when I did it. It really totally worked for me. And I'm going to get it out and try to get into doing it this summer and see.
And I've been trying to do it with keeping those drawing slips paper clipped in my calendar. And if your calendar ever falls, boy, you hosed. So I need to get in and start doing that too. But I love, and I was going to say it if you hadn't, the factor to put in your other appointments. If you've got phone calls to make, you can pick your index card size. Like she said, you can do 4x6, you can do 3x5s, whatever. You just do on that card. And you can even do, if it's a big enough card, you can do a couple of things you had to do and then scratch them out and reuse that card and do front and back on a to-do list. So that way you could get it to move with you each day and doctor's appointments. And how many times do you get to where it's 5:15, you realize you need to call somebody by 5 and you're like, ugh. And then you have to wait the next day. And
I used to use color-coded ones too, because you can buy ones that are green and yellow and pink and whatever. And you can also buy ones that just have a little strip across the top of them that you can use for that too. And so I think, it would allow you to put all the ones that are related to your virtual parties on one color and all the ones with your cooking shows on another color. And, anything to do with money or whatever, and I would put my nursing stuff on a different color.
Yeah. Now, I do have a fellow director who uses it, who does this regularly, and she uses, do y'all remember the square-ish lunch tote? It's kind of rectangle shaped. We had the pink, white top with the dots and the paisley bottom, and then there's a guy's version as well. Yep. And she's got hers, and that's she can take with her when she knows she's going to be sitting somewhere for a couple of hours. And so because I have this one.
I had to have a rubber band around mine.
Okay, but it's wooden, and you're not going to take that with you because it'd be kind of cumbersome to go around with it. So I kind of like the idea of having it be mobile. So if I'm out with anybody or whatever, and I'm sitting there waiting for a doctor's appointment or something, I can be flipping through it. But just a thought on that. So
what I was going to tell you too is, y'all know that y'all can buy those coupon holders that are not short but long. Like it looks like an accordion file, and that's actually what I did. Instead of taking my index box with me because it's kind of heavy. With me everywhere, I would take what I needed for the day and have it with me for the day. So that kind of works too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, if you have your stuff that you need for the day and you're out and about and you're sitting in a line somewhere, or waiting in a doctor's office, you can at least text, some of the people that you need to do if you can't talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
all right, on to the next. How do you track what you need to do with your hosts? So there's several different options for this online, and I've got the links popping up here in a second. So if you have your cameras ready, you can take a picture of the screen, or I will post them later on the Digger group. There's two. There's one for in-person shows or virtual. So this is a virtual host profile and host coaching checklist. It's 2 pages, and those blue boxes mean you can fill it in online and then print it if you want to. It's 8.5 by 11, and then there's one for a regular in-person show as well, and it's 2 pages as well. So again, you can fill it in and do your checks and boxes online, and then you can print it out if you want to, or you can save them. I don't know if y'all know this, but there's a program out there called Cute PDF Writer. It allows you to print anything on your screen to a PDF. And these already are actually PDFs, so it probably is not a problem, but it's a quick way to save screenshots of things and organize yourself that way too. But here are the links for those two, and it's just off of our website. You can actually probably even just search for them when you get on Consultants Corner. We got a question popping up, chat. I'm sorry. Okay, you posted the okay. Did I post that out there? I did. I posted the one video out there, or the virtual one out there. I'll do the other one too. I meant to go back and do both. I tried to post all of the files I'm going to talk about out on the group already, so I didn't have to try to remember to do it tonight. I was trying to do it while I set up. So
Hey, that PDF writer thing you're talking about, you can scan a form in there and be able to actually type into it?
No, it turns it into a flat PDF. So once you're done and you do that, it's just a PDF.
Okay.
But it's a way to save things and not have to like reinvent the wheel later type thing. So, all right. Did I click? Okay. The other thing, now this is something I did. Anything you need to follow up with, add to your system. So whether it's those sheets that we just showed you or something you create for yourself, if you have something you know that you want to follow up with, you know, add it in to whatever you're doing. So this is something that I did. I told you guys that I use the drawing slips. So I track with my drawing slips for just about everything. Let me find one that's got it on there so I can show you what I'm talking about. Come on. I told you my desk was a mess. All right, so anytime I've done a show, you guys can see, I have this on the back. So this is just the regular drawing slips. And that's a 2x4 sticker that goes on the back.
Which size is that? The shipping label, 6 on a page or 10 on a page, or
10 on a page.
Okay.
The 10 on a page. They're the long rectangle ones. There's 5 on a side. So this is something that I can manipulate. It's in Publisher. So if y'all want the source to change it for your own, message me and I'll send it to you. But this is something that I have massaged and worked with over time. And one of the things I will tell you, if you start creating something like this, print off like a sheet of them, like 5 of them. Work with it, see if it's what you like. If it's not, then you can tweak it and play with it and then change it to what you want. I have morphed mine because of doing more virtual shows, and now I have like a Post My Party set up on here, Facebook group set up, Canva invites. These are things I do with each of my hosts. The invite itself is something I make a simple one picture invite they can use to text or PM or email or whatever out to their guests to invite that way, as well as inviting through the events or through our site or whatever. So play with it and work with it. If I want to write down recipes or a theme, it goes here. The date or time of their party goes over here. And then on that contact history, as well as the rest of the back of the drawing slip, I can write date that I left a message, date that I called, date that whatever, and try to get a hold, as you're getting a hold of your host, or keep track of which calls you've done with them so far, if you do the 4 calls, that type of thing. So this is just a real simple label you stick on the back of their drawing slip. And I like this, even if you're using that tickler file, you have all that information with you on here as well. So that's another reason why I do that, because it's compact and it's not another big 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. And this works for me. So again, whatever you need to for you. But if you don't have time to do it right, are you ever going to have time to do it over? And that is a very good thought to think on. You know, it takes time to put some of these systems in place, but if you don't, you're not doing it right. Do you have time to go back and do it over again? No, because you don't have time. Really, you think you don't have time to do it in the first place. So, all right. What calendar are you? Do you use your phone? Do you use the big Mac calendar on your desk? Do you use one on the wall? Do you use Post-its? I've seen people put these Post-its on the walls like as a calendar. That would make me crazy, but it's there. So April, you've got your iPhone calendar. Would you tell us about that?
Well, and this would work for Android too. I just don't know exactly what buttons you hit to be able to do that. But I use my phone for a lot of stuff. Now, of course, if I drop my phone in the toilet, I'm in super big trouble. But so far, knock on wood, I'm good. But the way that I do my shows is under the calendar. I don't know if y'all can see that. Can y'all see that? The calendar button is right here. So when I hit the calendar button, it's going to pull up what's going on for that day. This is like all white out, isn't it? Okay. So what I do is, for shows, days that I have an open show, like Saturday, because I don't have a show for Saturday, and I needed a show for Saturday, but it went away. So I list it this way: PC show -open. So when I want to know when my next open show is, all I got to do is go on the search button up here at the top and put that in and put in open, which is super easy. I don't use the word open for very many other things, but it shows me, oops. It shows me all the dates that I have open so that if I can tell someone, someone says, what do you still have open for June? It has this. And so they can scroll through and look at the dates that I have, which I have 5 of them now. And so they say, well, I think I want Tuesday, June the 18th. So all I have to do is click on that one. And it comes up and says PC show open. And I can go in and just edit with their information, and it comes off my open list and it's ready to go. And so it totally works for me at live shows where somebody will say, well, you know, I want to do a show, and I'll say, well, when would you like to do it? Here are the dates that I have open, which one works for you? And they'll tell me. And so, you know, if I don't want them to book the end of the month or whatever, then I can like change those so it doesn't say open anymore. And that way the ones that I have showing, you know, hey, I've only got one left and it's so-and-so, you know. I usually don't do that, but you know, it's really a very easy way for me to do it, and I love it. And it totally works for me. So that way I always know what dates I have open really, really fast. I screenshot it and send it to people that are saying, you know, if I'm texting someone and they say, yeah, I think I might want to have one. What do you have open? Then I'll just send it to them and then they'll tell me what day they want right back. And so it's really, really very manageable, and it manages itself. I do it from the beginning of the year. I'll go through and put down, you know, every Monday, every Tuesday, every Thursday, every Friday, you know, because I do them at the same time, and have it already in there with a 2-hour window from 6:30 to 8:30 for each of the shows I've got. I put, instead of putting it for daily and have it for every single day, then, because I don't do them on Wednesdays usually, and I do shows on Sunday at 2, and I do shows on Saturday at 10:30 in the morning. So I just put in when I want to have it. Then I scroll back through. Once I've put them in, I start scrolling through and making sure I don't have conflicts, like when I'm going to have to go out of town, and I delete the ones instead of going in and putting one in for every day that I want. It's easier for me because I do a lot of parties for me to go back and just delete the ones that I don't want. But I absolutely love it. It's really, really good. On my virtual parties, I started out putting the whole week long date so that I would have, you know, Sally, you know, VP for virtual party, and from a Friday to a Friday. My calendar was so junky looking and I couldn't stand it. So now I just put it in on the date that I'm supposed to start somebody's party is what I'm doing right now. So I'll have a list of the people that I'm supposed to be starting. And
I
then
like that, because you could screenshot the finished filled in with their information to them as well. You could sit there and go, yep, here's your date, and then you could send them all the info.
yeah. Yep. But it really does work. I like it a lot.
All right. Calendar, paper calendar. Here's my hot mess.
Mm-hmm.
So the Post-it notes to the right there are the ones that go next to my virtual show days. So you can see the square drawn around the 3 and the 17th. So for May, those are the 2 Fridays that I started virtual dates. And then I'll show you up close to color coding. Y'all have heard me talk about it. Color coding is one of my things. Was that making your head spin, Nicole?
Oh my gosh.
So everybody in the family has got a different color for a different function. And that line across is actually a trip that's like involved in that whole week. So I just do a straight line. And it is, like I said, I told you it's a hot mess, but it works for me, because something for me, if it's written down, if I write it down, I remember better than if I just type it in somewhere. So that's how
I can't stand doing a month at a glance for that very reason. It's too full. I like to have a week at a glance so that I got more space, I think.
You know, I have tried with the week at a glance. I'm not as good at doing that as I am the month at a glance. And I have the calendar that does both. It has the month at a time, and then it breaks it into the weeks.
I have to have one as big as like a poster board to be able to put on.
That's what mine looks like.
That's neat looking.
That's why I about had a heart attack when I looked at her.
So do yours have little stickies in the hole?
Yeah, so I have sticky notes. So if they cancel, I can pull them off and move them.
That's really
nice.
And I write in pencil because I don't like my calendar to be messy.
Okay, well, here's the thing. I'm about to show the next page. I can erase that whole page.
Oh, yeah, you got to erase it.
They're erasable pens. They're not like the old Papermate ones back when I went to school that smeared and smudged and were nothing but crap. These are erasable pens. They're color-coded. Everybody in the family's got their color, whether it's a doctor's appointment or whatever. They're in that color. and I actually almost ran out of colors. So I'm
I need
there.
to get some of those.
They're great. So I've got the name on there so you can see it. You can see what they look like. I had to order them on Amazon because Walmart only had like 4, and I needed more colors than that. So that's why I put the picture up here. I love these things. I tried the Post-it note thing at one point in time. Of course, I was not as organized and nice and neat as Nicole was, and mine kept falling off. So I bought a really bad batch of Post-it notes, I guess. So I probably bought a generic version, and that's what you get for that. So anyway, so all in that saying, y'all find what works.
Pam, hold that up there again. What do you got on yours?
Oh, Pam. Okay.
Is yours a week at a glance? Is that a week?
Looks like it was.
I think she's got a type.
Yeah, she does. We'll wait for her little thing. While we're waiting for her to chat, I'm about to show you this one. So this is a family calendar that I may look into using a little bit more of. I've been kind of working my way into it. It's called Cozy, C-O-Z-I, and it is a family shareable calendar, and it allows you to color coordinate dots also. So you can sit there and do, if this means both people are going to do this event, if it's one color dot, it's just the one. It allows you to do reminders and different things like that too. So that's another way to get organized electronically if you want to. Okay, Pam said
she does both.
Weekend, monthly. Okay, so yeah. And so you just have to find what works for you. Some people, if again, like I said, if I write it down, I do much better than if I just type it in somewhere. So that helps me. So another way to go with that is for you to use binders and different ways of using binders. So you list your binders, label the binders as spines, and keep them close. I don't have as many as the community library. I'm not quite that bad. I just thought that was a fun picture to put with it. So this is actually how I keep track of my lists. So these are Post-it notes, even though I said the other ones fall off. These don't get moved around as much. I have the 5 tabs. You could do 10, 12, 15, whatever you needed to do. And the Post-it note itself is the category. So if I need to switch it out and I've changed what I want to do, or I need to add more, I can switch it. And then those tabs are really thick, hard, clear plastic, so I can reuse them. But those are the 5 that I keep in this binder. And it's just a 3-ring binder that sits on my desk. And so I've got my to-do list in there. Those are outside orders. If somebody calls me randomly, not part of a show, and wants something, I put it in there. Especially if it's something where they're going to pay me when they pick it up. I don't do that for many people, but I do have some of those that happen. A list of my donations. When people ask for donations, I keep just a running paper list on there. And at the end of the year, I pull that piece of paper out and it goes right into my tax folder, and I'm done. But it's how to keep track instead of like, you give someone something and you forget to document what it was. And,
that's really important now, because it used to be that we could write off stuff in a different way. And I got really creative with the way that I wrote off things for taxes this year, because there's no charitable deduction anymore for charitable donations. And so you have to write it as like a gift to an organization is the different place you put those now.
Right. So, so those are there for that. Call log is for when I track my 25 two-way calls, or however I'm doing calls at the time. That's where I track that. And again, it's just 3-ring binder, lined paper back and forth, and then product requests. And I'll show you what that is here. So my to-do list, Nicole, don't look, you're probably gonna freak out. It's just a handwritten, and as I do it, I scratch it out, and then I keep going, because some things you just don't get to as fast.
Sister.
Okay.
Same thing. We're good.
Okay, so I have to show y'all my to-do list.
Go ahead.
Get your. I remember that note. Hey, I forgot. Where'd you get that notebook from?
Amazon. But it has easy shit, tough shit, and oh shit are the categories on here, and I love it, and it totally works for me.
That is absolutely
I remember you showing it to us last time sometime.
Yeah, I love it.
When it doesn't work, you can just say the shit at the fan.
Yeah, but you can't carry it around in public much, because some people would freak out, but it's like, it really works. Yeah, I love it.
Just get creative and color out.
Good topic of conversation.
All right, so then here is just the drawing slip, and I actually fill that in with whoever's information and what they're looking for that product request, and then I just tape the drawing slip in there. And the reason I started using the drawing slips instead of just a regular list is if you're out at a vendor event and somebody comes up and goes, oh, do you have any digital timers? Well, of course, we don't have those anymore. So we know, but might be able to find one for you. Let me get your information. So A, you have their information. B, you have something in a way to get back a hold of them when you find one. And, every once in a while, just pop out on those swap and share pages and look for something. And if you can find it, great. And then you get back a hold of them. I finally found those white square bowls that sat in the little 2-bowl caddy. They redesigned that, and I had an extra caddy, and I needed bowls. Actually, I think I still have one. But I had somebody who came up to me who needed the bowls, and it took me almost a year to find them. And I finally did, and I called her up. So totally out of the blue, is, hey, you're not going to believe this. I finally found 2 bowls for you. You still want them. Now, had she said she didn't, like I said, I had that caddy, and I would be able to use it. It was not a huge thing. But she was like, I can't believe you remembered. That is so awesome. Thank you so much. And so that's just a customer service thing that we can do that's not that hard. So I just track them that way and keep track of it. When we have
those can go in the tickler file too.
Yes, they can.
Put them like in a little card behind all of that. So
totally separate little section for those. So you want to find an easy method that you can manage without strain to yourself. If the tickler file is overwhelming to you, find something else. If a notebook like this or my calendar, like Nicole just saw, had a heart attack, makes your head spin, find what works for you, because it has to be something you're going to use. If you don't use it, it's kind of pointless. Mm-hmm. So 3-2-1 is where you have 3 contacts a day, 2 recruits a month, or 2 shows a week, and 1 recruit a month. 3 contacts a day, 2 recruits, or 2 shows a week and 1 recruit a month. I'm going to say it wrong every time. That is the company little formula for a successful business. So you track those however you want to. This is the 25 two-way contact log. You could print this out and stick it in your 3-ring binder, or however you want to do that. You could actually probably fill this in online too if you wanted to. So go that route. Here's a couple of other ones that I have created. So I wanted to show them to you real quick. So an adjustment log, well, let me back up. Just keep it simple, whatever y'all do. Keep things in common locations. Keep them in your binders simple and together. Like 1 binder shouldn't be by your desk and 1 in your closet and 1 upstairs. And then on your desktop itself, a Pampered Chef folder or something simple where you can find things and name it what you're doing. Don't get super crazy creative. Like for your adjustment log, just call it an adjustment log, not Pampered Chef 4th quarter adjustment returns and receipts. Keep it simple so when you look for it on your computer, you can find it. And of course, anything can be done on paper as well. So the adjustment log. Tracking our returns is important, and I think it's a huge part of customer service. This is a very simple spreadsheet, and I will be glad to share it. It has just dates, the shows. You can see on here the information it has. What I do then is after I message back and forth with home office and process the return, here's the reference number itself. And then I put some actions in here. So it says, will ship, no return is like a stoneware or piece of stoneware. Or this was a missing scraper in the shipment. So they're going to send it. There's obviously nothing to return. She was missing something. This medium scoop she bought, the 3rd one up from the bottom, she bought a medium scoop. She really actually wanted a small. So then it will, will return. You can see on it where it says the return label set and product. But then when I do, I'll go back through these, and I have not been real good on putting my X's in, but I will go back through and check through with people and see if they've got these. And that way I know they're done. Some of them take a while because if you send it back yourself before the customer, you know that it went, but sometimes that's not how it's done all the time. You have to wait for them to return it, then home office gets it, processes it, returns it, etc. So sometimes those take a while if they ever happen at all, but that's a great way to follow back up.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's really nice, Kara. That's really good.
And then you can have a way of, so like I had somebody who had to send in a couple of pans, and it took her months to send them back in, but I kept following up and reminding her, not obnoxiously, but like I'd wait a month and go, hey, did you get your pans back yet? And she's like, no, I need to do that. And finally she did it. She's like, thank you for staying on me for that. It was so nice to finally get those new pans. I appreciate your help with that. So, real easy way to follow up. So if y'all want that, just message me.
Yeah, post that. That's really good. I want you to post it.
Okay. I apologize. I got a tickle going, y'all. So this one is if you're doing direct ship now, I'm going to share this super briefly. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. When You don't do that. You have a deposit that goes in your account. It's one total. So let's say your show total is $500. You deposit the $500. They take $500 out once that order shipped to the host, and you're done. Well, with direct ship now, it's not that case. Any check that you go in goes in as a separate check, and then it comes out as a separate check from your account, and it's a nightmare to track. I've tried numerous different things, and I end up coming up with this. So there's two things I want to show you with on this. The top one is my little spreadsheet, and I mean, it is ridiculously simple. I'm trying to get more people onto credit cards, but I live in a small town, and checks are the way people do things. So what I do when I have that first happen, when I first get their money, I'll put their name and their check total in here. But then when it goes in, this bottom picture here is the shipping tracking on Consultant's Corner. And so you pull that up, and you can actually highlight those first 3 lines like I have in blue, and put it right into Excel and paste it. So that first one, the first 2, that's what I've done. So Karen Ritterbush, her whole thing is what highlighted in. It's there. So here's what my bank account does, or how it shows for my bank. The shipment number is what they show for the deposit or the withdrawal coming from my bank account. And that is actually my consultant number and some number at the end of it for direct ship, the 1348, 1351. And that's how you find out and track from the bank account what's come off and what's on. It's so that I can go back out and check it and clear it. If it's not been shipped yet, like this Kathy Paisley, when I first pulled that information for her order number, as soon as that order goes in, those first 2 boxes are available for you. That third box, that shipment number, doesn't show up until they ship it. So once they ship it, then a couple days from that's when you get it pulled out of your account. Again, if you're not doing that, don't worry about it. Just, glaze over here for a second. Just don't get lost completely. But this is just an easy way to track your direct ship now, people.
That's a really, really good idea, but that totally makes my head spin thinking, Nicole, does it you? As many shows as
I'm going to tell you, I need it, girl, because I don't even keep up with it. Like,
I don't either.
It is so much to keep up with. It is unreal. It
stresses me out when I open up my bank account and it shows all these debits coming out, and I'll have $1,000 out in one day, and I'm like, oh crap.
I don't know who show it belongs to, but this doesn't. Now, I don't take checks.
I just hope and pray they hadn't charged me for somebody I'm not supposed to get.
Exactly.
So that's the thing, and that's what I wanted to track with, because there's been a couple of times, and where I have had a phone call from home office saying that you didn't get paid for one or something else happened, and I have no idea what's going on. So I needed to start tracking this, because also, I mean, if we start spending it for supplies or whatever, I need to know what's in my account. This is what hasn't cleared yet, what has. So I'll be glad to share this with y'all. And like I said, the copy and paste, when I found out I could copy and paste those first 3 lines into the spreadsheet and not have to type those numbers and try to figure it out, all I'm putting in is the check number, going back and checking it to see if it's cleared and gone, and I'm done. So I hope this helps.
Yeah, I need that.
Awesome.
All right, so virtual shows. Many people out there are doing these Google forms where they go out and do a drawing slip form to get more information off of them. Mine includes information about a bridal show, information on meal planning, hosting a show, being a consultant, and a couple other different things. So this, I will tell you honestly, the middle part of this is squeezed just so you could see more of what I was trying to point out. It looks crazy blotchy in the middle there, but it doesn't have to be quite like that. This is just to get it on screen. So when you go into your Google form, you click on your responses, and then you can go over here and look at them individually if you want to. When it scrolls through, you can see I've got 69 in there right now, and you can go through and look at them individually, or you hit this little green plus sign thingy that I've got right there, and that will allow you to put it into a spreadsheet, and you can manipulate it just like you can any other spreadsheet, and you can sort it by host. You can also take it out of here and put it in Excel if you don't want it to be out on the Google form thing. If you want to be able to manipulate more or save it in a different way, you can do that. So these right now are sorted by host. And I like that fact because they're not always put in that order. If you're running 4 shows at a time, you've got people popping in whenever they happen to get on and filling out their forms, and so it's kind of a mess. So being able to then shift it or sort it by host allows you to go back through and see, like especially when you're doing prize drawings for end of the party, and you do that one final prize drawing based on who's filled out their form.
Well, and the other thing that would be good for is when people borrow your template and then they're using your Google slip, and you're like, I don't know who this host is, then you can post it on the team page, who did a show for this person, and then you can figure out who didn't change it.
That's true. I actually would rather create the form for them than give them mine.
Yeah.
It doesn't take that long to do for that reason, because I don't want them getting a hold of other information too. I don't want them having my guests' information. I'm afraid of that. So I'm a paranoid person. Y'all never know that, would you? All right. This is, that says Google survey. That's incorrect. This is the virtual party log sheet. I didn't change that. So this was a log sheet that I inherited from somebody else. So it's not completely mine. I did tweak it a little bit because I have to do that. That's me. So this is what I have in a 3-ring binder for my virtual shows, and every one show is 1 page. So based on the form that you just saw, if they're interested in booking, I'm going to put a little number or an X into the booking column next to the number, or the opportunity or bridal show. And there's different ways to go through and track their information. You can also do like a hash mark tally of everybody who comments in a virtual party if you want to keep track of who's most involved. I did that with changing per day with the color-coded pens, and that became crazy. If you have 4 or 5 going at a time, that's a lot. So now instead I just put comments in there about, they've commented a lot or, multiple times, or this is just for my information to track. But what's nice then is if I need to go back into that show, I don't have to necessarily go find it on Facebook. I can go into here and I can look for certain bits and pieces of information. So you can make this into as much or as little as you want on here. Obviously, you can fill out as much as far as how many people they've invited, how many people got involved, and that way you can kind of track your trends on some of that too. So I believe I've already put that out on the page. If not, I can. So April, I think this is you again.
Okay, go ahead and throw all my dots up there so I can see what I got.
Cheese and crackers. There we go. You're on.
Okay, so some other things that I do on my phone is under my notes section of my phone, and I don't know what Android has like it, but I'm sure there's something. I make a running list of leads for bookings and when they want to have it, so that if I'm sitting somewhere and I'm thinking, okay, I need some shows for next month, and somebody said next time y'all have double host dollars, tell me. And so I'll just make notes of things like that. I do a list of recruit leads that I keep up with and when to recontact them so that I can go back and keep up with it. I keep all my new team members, when they join my team, I put them in my phone, and then I also list their consultant number and their 30 and 90-day dates so that I can really fast find that, and their address. So if I'm mailing them something, so I can find all of that really, really fast. All of my hosts go in my phone, and then customers that I have a whole lot of times, all of those go into, my contacts list. So I use my phone for a whole lot of stuff. And if, let's say, somebody calls me and says, I broke my stone, that's how I keep up with my customer service people to follow up too, because I'll say, oh, who was it that called me and told me that they broke their stone while I was driving to Hot Springs to see patients? And then I can be able to go in and just search under broken stone and be able to say, oh, yep, that's who it is, and I'll be able to find it. And so it's just, a good way for kind of a tickler file on your phone. So I do use my phone, like I said, for a lot of stuff, and it does work for me. So if y'all have anything else y'all do with your phones that you think are noteworthy that we want to talk about? Anybody else?
I love them, but I apparently don't use them. I use the notes. I use the notes a lot, but I also use the reminders a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the reminders saved my life. I'm a blonde, but I'm also got no memory left.
Well, and I also use my alarm to do stuff. When there's something that I'm supposed to be doing, I'm gonna set my alarm and say, okay, it's time for me to do this, or it's time for me to leave for my party, or it's time to, go make my cake or whatever. So it's like that kind of keeps me going, because I'm having some issues with my memory being as sharp as it used to be once. I guess that happens when you turn 60 and start falling apart. So
I don't think it has to be 60 for that. I'm doing this. The other thing, I have an Android phone and I have a Galaxy Note. So I have the stylus and notes that I can do. So I write a lot of notes and contacts in on there, and then I can go back and flip through that regularly too, which is great. Because the other thing that's great for, if you're out and about and you need to get someone's information, I could just have them write it down like it's on a chalkboard, and I just take it that way and I'm good to go. So I do appreciate different phone systems. Okay, so the other thing that I wanted to touch base on real quick is how do you sort your picks and locate host and guest specials quick?
I need help on this really bad.
Do you have pictures of recipes and things like that? So this is actually my folder. It's my default download folder on my computer. I used to have a separate Pampered Chef folder, but I caught myself moving it because it would download here and I'd have to move it to Pampered Chef. So I kind of gave up and kind of put it all in here because it's just that basic place to start. So you can, by folders, you can sit there and organize yourself as many ways as you want to. You go as many layers deep as you want to, but again, do what works for you and keep it simple. So I have, as you can see, I've got the different seasons. There's fall, there's spring down here, 2019, 18's already gone. I actually need to get rid of a couple of the fall ones, but I kept them because I had some virtual stuff in there that I wanted to pull again. Host and guests. So one, I didn't mean to go back. Hold on. When you're on the marketing imagery and you pull off the host and guest specials, you can save any bits and pieces. I always recommend putting it on your phone as well, so that if anybody needs it, you can text it to them right away, save the post to your phone. The PDFs you can't put on Facebook, so you can print those out so you have it in your binder if you want. If not, then you don't have to save it on your computer kind of thing. I do because I send them out in a certain fashion too. So the different things on here, there's my virtual folder, has a ton of stuff that I see on, sometimes you see somebody else post something for another team, like another vendor, and you want to use it, so you come up with a different way to use it for yourself. So I save them, so everything goes in there, or virtual games or different things like that. So again, however you want to organize this. But so hosts and guests, the host specials and guest specials, I have them on here so I can always go to it and find it super quick and easy. And then again, I have these downloaded on my phone as well. At one point in time, I would just have them in the whole download folder, but then you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, trying to find just the guest special. And if it happens to repeat in here twice, like you see I have that one in here twice, I just have to go in and delete the one because I have extras, but it doesn't like erase over things, which I like. Being able to answer the questions for your hosts in a timely fashion is very important in your customer service. So having these readily available to me is a great way of doing that. The other thing is quick reference. So in my regular pictures themselves, you want to make it easy to grab. So if you're doing for virtual, for example, I have on here, I have this picture, this thing on here, show really, it's an interactive post, show really bad family pictures. And there's, man, I tell you what, y'all just Google it if you want to laugh one night. These are not anybody that I know. These are pictures that somebody else decided to put out on the world for everyone to see, and some of them are really bad. So what I just did is I saved them and downloaded them and just did bad family 1, bad family 2, bad family 3. Because it's easier to find then when you're trying to pull it into your virtual show.
That's a great idea. I like that for an interactive thing. I bet it gets a lot of attention.
It does, and people pull some of their own, or I said, or go find one on the internet. If you don't want to show yourself off, go find another one and bring it out. And so people go find some of the goofiest pictures. But that would work the same thing if you wanted to post a series of pictures on the Rock Crock. You could do Rock Crock 1, Rock Crock 2, however you want to do that. But then you're not searching for it by all these other weird names. It's super simple and easy to find. I just did a vegan show for somebody, so everything that I needed I put straight into that folder, so I didn't have to go looking for it later to find, you know, her stuff in the midst of all that. Because I mean, if we work in our businesses, this folder is going to get full, and there's going to be a lot in there, but by keeping it simple, it helps you find things pretty quick. The other thing that I would recommend, sorry, I didn't mean to hit that, is we've talked about it before. If you're doing virtual, if you take our links for our live videos and put them in the video link part of Post My Party, it does not give you a preview, and it gives this blank gray box that says web or media net, blah, 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 blah. And most people I have found that a lot of people will not click on that because it's not enticing. So I put the link itself into the post body of the post itself, and then I'll take a picture. When you click on a recipe, for example, or any of the product that the video is for, there is a picture there. You can actually save that picture into this folder, post the link into the body of it, and then use that picture.
That is a great idea. I love that. That's really good. So
then I have like a big enchilada. I shared that recipe. It's a crazy easy recipe. It came out a while back, but I have the picture of it there. I did the same thing. That's why the broccoli braid is on there too. So then I post the picture and then I have the link in the body and they can go click to that link. But it's something that makes them want to do it instead of just looking at this gray box that says media net, blah, 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 blah. And I saw some posts on the virtual group today. People were having problems with videos loading properly in Cinch Share also. And I'm not sure how Cinch Share works. I'm a Post My Party girl, but same kind of thing. Put the link in there so they can click on it and give it, don't give it any reason to have a problem, basically. All right. So I think that's, any questions on organizing stuff like that?
That's some really good stuff, Kara.
Mm-hmm.
You put me to shame on organization for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Though this is just if I don't, I would lose what's left of my hair, so we're good. Trainings and meetings. April, this is you again.
Okay, so one of the things that I have always trained people, and what I got trained as when I first started, is on your calendar, put meetings and trainings in ink and shows in pencil. Shows are going to change. Meetings probably will not. And so making sure that you don't miss anything, because we know that meetings and trainings help to make your business stronger. Of course, Pam, you're the one we're talking to here. You're the only one that comes to everything we have. Thank you so much. And then when you've got ideas that you want to try for meetings, you can keep up with it in a variety of different ways. So you might have a spiral notebook that's got, new ideas. I have a file on my Word documents that says PC ideas to try, that I put things in there. You could put it in a binder. You can do it on your phone under a notes section, but just keeping up with things so that you don't think, oh yeah, I forgot about that, so that it's things that you actually do, and don't try to implement everything at one time. Just like when you go to national conference, and Pam, this is going to be your first national conference. When you go, your head is going to be spinning. So what you want to do is identify the handful of things that you want to try when you get back. And then you can go back to your notes. I take my notes when I'm writing them in there and put like a little star beside all the things that are things that I want to implement. And then I go back and look at all the things that have stars by them and decide which things I'm going to do first, and then go back and grab some more later. Because otherwise you just got a notebook full of notes when you get home that you don't do anything with. So anyway, that's all I got.
So it's time to get organized. That picture made me crazy, but I posted it because it's exactly what it feels like when you're not organized. So most people see this and get anxious as well. So just come up with an idea that works and figure it out so that you can soar above the average customer service and go from there. So step out, make your chaos organized, like a parade. Woo. All right, any questions on all that? We are going to go over tonight, and I apologize, but the next segment is actually fairly quick because it deals pretty much with what we just did. So it'll be pretty easy to tie together. So I'm just going to jump right into it. We're going to talk a little bit about coaching to success and getting your new recruits started. Being part of the team is definitely a fun time to get them going. So strong start. Partner with them to book 2 to 3 parties in their first week of starting their business. With virtual shows, there's text phraseology we can give them to text their friends. Actually, virtual or live in person works the same way, to get them to start talking to people right away. Giving them the wording, I have found, is starting to help get the ball rolling, instead of just saying go book some shows and come back to me as soon as you have them booked, or check it in a couple days and seeing how many they have booked. Giving them really quick, easy phraseology is just real simple, like push out the door. Once they do that and get those first booked, then challenge them to repeat that with another different 10 to 20 friends so they can keep that going. Once they start getting in that habit, then already starting organization, you're already getting a system going for them as well. And then that also helps with them getting that booked right away to get a paycheck within their first couple of weeks to encourage them to continue. And you want to build belief in them that from the start that they can do this. They can do this. You can say it, phrase it on their own if you want to, or you can do this as part of the team, but that they can do this. So I walk through the first steps with them together, help familiarize them with Consultants Corner. My last few recruits, I've actually had them here in person signing up together. And then we just take a few minutes after that to say, this is what you're going to get first, and here's where a couple things are. And I don't overload it, because it's really easy to, kind of like she was just saying with conference, feel like you're getting force fed with a fire hose, and you don't want to have all that hit all at one time. So just give them bits and pieces. Familiarizing themselves with Consultants Corner, especially if you have any tech, not tech savvy, what's the opposite? The polar opposite, the ones that are tech challenged that are afraid of getting on the computer, showing them where a couple things are will help it be familiar to them when they get on and do it to themselves. And if you can't do it in person, you can easily set up a Zoom call with any of your recruits and walk through it by sharing a screen, or even have them share their screen and direct them to where to go. And that's a real easy hands-on way to do that with them. Show them where to set up their order of payment account. That's a very easy step to miss, and they cannot submit their shows after the first 60 days if they don't have that set up. They also don't get their first paycheck easily if they don't have that set up. So that's just one of those first things to get rolling. It also helps them start thinking like a business, because you're setting up a business account and setting up your payment account, and start helping them in that mode of thinking this is not just a hobby, you just started your own business. And then help them set up their website. That's partially done now through the online consultant agreement, so that makes it really simple, but show them where it is and what they can do with it. Obviously, we're going to send them to PCU. It's out there. Don't reinvent the wheel. There is no reason to reinvent the wheel. I'm checking to see there's a message out here. Well, there you go, Pam. That's why we do this. That's actually a comment in here. If what you do is you want to think about how you started and either fix what they didn't do or repeat what they did that was done well. So definitely on that.
I didn't get anything either, Pam. I had to scramble for my own self. So
I did too. So again, don't reinvent the wheel. Start at the beginning. Encourage them every step of the way. And that can be done very easily. You don't have to babysit them. This is their business. I'm not saying you have to do it all, for them, or necessarily, with them every step of that way, but it's a way to encourage, even if you just sent them and give them a quick text. How did that go today? How did you like that training? And if they did do it, then you go, okay, let's check back tomorrow. Is that enough time for you? And it's not any different than host coaching. It's accepted now, it's your team. And offer incentive if you feel it's necessary. If you finish all those courses in the first week, we'll go out to coffee and I'll buy and we'll talk about your next steps. That's incentive. So people will do anything for Starbucks. So,
well, and I think that incentives, if you just keep in front of them the incentives that the company does, is always good. Like this month, it's like you're going to get that rebate as long as you get your stuff in by your 30th day, and it's on June the 5th. So where are we with that? When's your next party? And just staying really up with them on that, and then saying, gosh, you're really close to the 750 level. You could be able to get a level of things for free. And that way they know to start looking for those things every month. So, giving people reminders you're really close, and giving them some attaboy, attagirls, and keeping them going. So.
Yep. It doesn't have to be big, expensive. And like she said, I was about to get to that point, is the company stuff offers so many different incentives anyway. All we have to do is remind them, encourage them, because they're there. They're there for the taking. And if you don't, then that's completely on them. And if you don't have a part that you understand or you're nervous about or whatever, ask your upline for help. Ask one of us if your upline is not there for you. We're here. That's why we do this group. So ask help if you need it, by all means. This is just a quick snap of all the different training courses that are there. They're there. Use them. There's resources there. Those forms that I pulled with the host coaching that showed the principal profiles, whether in person or virtual, were there. On that, all I did was pull it off of there. So it's not even something that I've done other than pulling it and showing you where it's at. There's a ton of information. And if you haven't done it in a while, and go forward and do it. If you haven't done it at all, I recommend going back and doing it. When they first came out with all this, I went through and took all of them. Some of it was, majority of it, because I've been in almost 9 years, was repeat information. So that's going to totally be the case for Nicole and April, but and any of the other directors on here. But it does not hurt to hear it again. And sometimes you hear the same thing said by somebody totally different, and it ahas, and you have that moment like, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that? Or wording it just slightly a different way makes more sense. And there you go. So never work alone. This was something that Sharon Zellin said when I first got started, and it was something that really clicked in. There's no reason for you to do any of this by yourself. You can incorporate people in so many different ways. You can have them on the phone with you when you make calls. You can have them come to a vendor event with you. You can have them come to a party and be your sous chef. However you want to phrase it or do it, have somebody with you. They're training, have them there. On-the-job training is often deemed one of the most important types of training out there. You would never start a job and be told, here's your desk, see you later, let me know how it goes for you. You would be given training. They would show you how to use their systems. They would show you how to do what you're doing. and you need to do for your job, and they would follow up and make sure you had continuous learning throughout the whole process, and they would help you. So the same thing with your recruits, and same thing to do with this. There are many benefits of on-the-job training, including productivity. It helps retention. You're going to keep your recruits longer if they know what they're doing and they're not feeling overwhelmed. Oh, I just can't do this. And higher morale for the entire team when people know what they're doing and they're succeeding. As people start to reach these goals and get their incentives and earn those trips and get their free products, you're going to see it start to roll with your team. Work smarter, not harder. We say it all the time. Not only that, if you take somebody with you to a show, or they work on a show with you, that's another person to be interactive if you're talking virtual. It's another person to be at the show and help carry stuff and clean stuff and interact with people if you're there. It is a great way to do it.
And I think it's also a great way to recruit, because people see that you're going to help to train them if they decide to sign up. I have people ask me that all the time.
Yep. They expect to be left alone and not know what to do. And that's not the case at all. It happens sometimes. I'm sorry when it does, but that's not how we want to do it. So why not have someone training with you all the time? Again, calls, shows, etc., etc. So all these systems that we just did, that we just talked about, when you figure out what works for you, share it. If it's one that doesn't work for you, but you think it's a good idea, share it. Share with them, so they have a chance to figure out what works for them, and that way they have a system in place, because the worst problem is not having anything at all. And then talk to them and find out the best way to communicate with them. I am learning this with my recruits. Even though we talked one way around the show, when it's there and they're now in their own business, what's the best way to talk to you? Because chatting back and forth on Messenger may not be it. Texting may not even be it. They might actually want emails or however it happens to be. So make sure you touch base and find out the best way to talk with them too. I love training on Zoom. As you guys can tell, it's very easy to share your screen, to show different bits and pieces, and to talk to them and walk through them. And I love the fact that they can share their screen. I mentioned that a little while ago, but if they share their screen, I can sit there and go, okay, you see that little dot to the left of that word? Click on that. Okay, now go down 3 lines and click, and I can see it because I can describe it to them. And that helps them walk through and do it themselves. Text, email, in person, obviously great ways to communicate with them, and then follow up. Don't start them on something and then leave them. Make sure you follow up. Set that reminder on your phone. That's part of your system to follow up with each consultant and with the team. Definitely have lots of different communication options like we just talked about. Sorry, I clicked too fast. I use a Facebook group messenger, the chat feature. So my entire team, all of my recruits are in one chat group. It's nothing but a messenger group thing that pops up for Messenger, like your little bubble on your phone. But that's everybody on there. So if somebody goes, how do I do such and such? And I'm teaching a class, I can't check my phone when I'm in the water. So somebody else can see it and go, oh, you go over here and do this, or whatever comes up. It's a reminder for trainings. It's a reminder for different bits and pieces coming up. It's a hey, it's the 14th. Make sure you get your 150 in to go green this month. It's little memes that have you can do anything you put your mind to type, encouragements, any of that kind of stuff I put out through that. Instead of a group text message, you can do group text messages, but some people don't like their phones don't handle those well. Sometimes they break it up. It's in like chewed up pieces and you're not sure which part of the message came first. So just work with your group and find out. Of course, a Facebook group team page, and then of course emails. But that's just a great way to stay in communication with especially your newbies, because they're going to have a lot of questions. And then be approachable. Let them know questions are good. Be reachable. Let them know your schedule so they know how to get a hold of you, especially if you hold office hours in particular. And if you aren't available, make sure you've got a backup contact. Make sure they know how to get a hold of your upline, especially if they're at a show and something happens, they need to have a couple people they can get a hold of. And if you don't know the answer, just find it. Find someone who does. Talk to somebody. Talk to one of us. And of course, be yourself. Encourage them and listen through the whole thing. Sometimes it's not they can't do it. They're not sure how to do it, or they're frustrated with how they've tried to do it. And you just have to listen to what they're working on and kind of get past that to them. Of course, I didn't put it on here, but you always have the, quick start to jumpstart to director on all those different bits and pieces that are out there in PCU, and show them that as well. But I wanted to more focus on our side of it and how to deal with it. The company materials are there, but we have to know how to get a hold of our consultants and talk to them and be there for them. And I think that's a big part of this. So April, do you have anything to add?
The only other thing I do have started doing, there's a really neat graphic that's on marketing imagery that says best day ever. I just started with Pampered Chef, and I tell people to post that the day they sign up, because I remember when I first started doing this and I didn't tell everyone, and one of my neighbors invited me to a party with someone else because I hadn't told her that I was selling, and I was sick about it. And that, to me, I still remember it to this day, and that was 22 years ago almost. And so it's like, you've got to tell all your cousins and your out-of-town relatives and everybody, so that if they decide they want to book a party, they're going to be like, oh, Pam would kill me if I did a party with you. I got to have one with her. And so it's like, you just got to make sure everybody knows that you're selling. And so that's one of the things I always tell people, to get out there really fast. But I love your suggestions. I really do. They're really good.
Yeah, if people don't know what you're doing, then, who knows when it's going to come back around. My son went on his first job interview yesterday, and the gentleman who was interviewing him happened to be a former manager where our first son worked. And so he recognized Jordan. Jordan didn't have a clue as to who he was. Then he goes, so is your mom still selling Pampered Chef? And he's like, oh, absolutely. So yeah, you got to let people know what they're doing. And we have not seen him probably for 4 or 5 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, the whole question out of his mouth is, your mom still selling Pampered Chef? So yeah, make sure people know what's going on, even if they don't know, haven't been in communication with you. So definitely. You guys, thank you. I apologize for going over. I told you that last part would be quick.
Thank you so much for taking the charge on all this. And next week, like Kara mentioned, we're going to be doing we did it, we got done, and just sort of some, keeping the momentum going, how to keep us on track. And then we want to know from y'all what you want to know for our upcoming things. And now, just for a second, and Pam, you can type your comment in.
Oh, Pam, I just saw her comment. She said she had a past host sign up with somebody else this week.
Uh-oh. Did you ask them? Yeah, if you didn't ask them, it's on you. It's not on them.
That's right.
You got to ask them and follow up with them. So yeah.
The other thing too, I will encourage you on that, is sometimes personalities just don't mesh, and it might have worked with that versus the other. So don't beat yourself up.
Well, but I think if you don't talk about it, then people think she didn't want me or didn't think I would be good.
Yeah, there's that too.
So don't think that it's all about you. It's really all about them. And just say, hey, have you ever thought about it? That's all you got to say, Pam. Have you ever thought about it? Is this something you think you might be interested in? And you'll be surprised the number of people that say yes. Because you could be a director right now if you did that. You would already be a director. So easy. Just ask them. And go back and ask the ones you haven't asked. Say, hey, I forgot to ask you, but I've been in some training, and now I know I'm supposed to ask everybody. I'd love to have you on my team, So let's just do it. But what I want to know is, do we want, for our summer series, do we want to try to keep those calls to like a 30-minute thing? Because like Coffee Talk, they are really short, piffy, and last about 20 minutes, including questions, and that's a lot of really good information. But, we have, this one was supposed to be 30 minutes, 15 minutes, and we've gone over an hour almost every single time. And so I don't know if we want to go on it. When we did the ones before, Nicole, we did an hour for everybody. But sometimes people would say, no, is that supposed to be for 30 minutes? And so I don't know what we want to do. Do we want to do 30 minutes? Do we want to do an hour?
Well, why don't we try to do the 30 minutes, and then if we go over, we're not over an hour, versus shooting for 45 minutes, and then we end up over anyway. You know what I mean? And if we're
like when we tell them.
So if we just do short, like you said, the Coffee Talk, quick things like that, I think we can get, it won't tie up our Sunday nights completely either.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and there are some really, really good other talks that are out there and already recorded that we could plug into some of the holds too, that people have not listened to, or even if they have, they need to listen to them again. But we could go in and pull some things if we wanted to. Although Coffee Talk is on phone recording, which I don't know that we could do that on here. I don't know. But we need to get on it, because it starts in like a week and a half. So Nicole, we gotta get our list going of who we want to ask and get going. All of us do. So if we want to ask some people. Kara, do you have anybody in your organization related, like your upline and stuff, that might be willing to do it for us?
Michael might be willing to do something.
Okay. Why don't you ask him, and even ask him what he wants to talk about even.
Okay.
They were wanting to do a series of, some of the hints from the best of the best people, and you're one of those, and we want you. 30 minutes. What do you want to talk about?
There might be a couple of other connections I can pull into. We'll
Okay.
see.
Awesome. And Nicole, you know some people too, from people that we've had before. I don't know if Penny Smith would do something else for us. Her thing that she did before was really good. But I think we just need to, probably Nicole and I need to, we brainstormed and just came up with a long list of people that we wanted to ask before, and then we just made phone calls and texts and Facebooked and stuff till we got them all filled. So maybe we do that. Or maybe the director team do a quick thing. And
I have a quick question based on one of the comments back there. April, you said they don't have to have a Google account to do the survey. I've had people who have had to log in and couldn't do it. How do you work past that?
Oh, I don't know. My people, I think, always do it, but maybe the ones that don't do it don't have a Google account.
Okay.
Don't know.
All right.
I mean, I know to set up one, you have to have one, but there is a thing that asks for alternate account instead, I thought.
Yeah. Okay, I'll have to play with it because I've had people come back saying they can't do it. So anyway. All right. So yeah, we'll chat more about the directors in the directors chat about who to ask and what to do and all that stuff. So
Okay. Well, we need to get on it, or we're going to wind up having some weeks that we don't have a speaker.
okay, we can do that.
So, all right.
All right, you
All
guys.
right. Y'all have a great week. Kara, thank you so much. Your stuff was really incredible, and please share all that good stuff. Okay.
I will. If I miss anything, y'all let me know.
Okay. Love y'all. Have a good night.
Bye, you guys.